Why are there so many proxy contests in the Taiwan capital market? And so few mergers and acquisitions? This short video will help to explain the shareholder structures and regulations that make Taiwan companies at risk to hostile takeovers and why, as an institutional shareholder, you have yet another proxy case to review and decide the best way to use your vote. A typical merger or acquisition would be transacted through a tender offer or a cash or share swap agreement. The shareholders would agree on the fair value of the company, or they would just not tender their shares. But this is expensive, and in Taiwan there is a much cheaper way to wrestle control of the company from the current management: proxy contests. Now, in order for this to work, the company needs to have a significant amount of retail investors, sometimes called mom-and-pop investors. Historically in Taiwan, the retail shareholders often made up the majority of the shareholder structure, and that made reaching quorum at annual shareholder meetings difficult. So to encourage these investors to vote or to sign over their proxies to the company to reach quorum, Taiwan regulations allow for companies to provide souvenirs to attend the AGM or in exchange for their proxies. These souvenirs can range from the company's products to ceramic dishes to shampoo, to 7-Eleven coupons or backpacks. Domestic proxy solicitation companies are set up around the island to collect these proxies on behalf of whoever is paying them to collect. This means that if you are a minority shareholder and you want to control more of the shareholder vote, you could hire these domestic proxy solicitation companies to collect the proxies for you. Many retail investors are in the habit of handing over their proxies to the companies for souvenirs, so they are often not aware that their proxies could be used for a minority shareholder plotting a hostile takeover. Taiwan regulations are very supportive to minority shareholder rights. A shareholder is only required to hold 1% of the shares outstanding to nominate a full slate of candidates to the board. Cumulative voting is required in Taiwan, which means that votes can be allocated to one candidate or spread amongst more than one. The result of this is that in most proxy contests, one slate of candidates never wins. Both sides will allocate their shares to their top choices, with the candidates receiving the top votes being elected to the board. This can even result in a competitor sitting on the board as a director alongside the current management. To make things even more complicated, independent directors and non-independent directors are counted separately. But a shareholder can still allocate all of her votes to one independent director or to one non-independent director. Most companies have 3 seats reserved for independent directors. These seats will be filled by 3 candidates even if they receive far fewer votes than other non-independent directors. Independent directors are very important to the board in Taiwan. They sit on the audit and often the remuneration committee. But most importantly, they have the power to call an EGM at any time. This means that if a dissident shareholder can place a supportive independent director on the board that will later help him to call a board election, the dissident shareholder can secure the proxy solicitation companies in advance, launch a surprise attack and gather enough proxies to gain control of the board through a majority of seats. This is the favorite strategy of a private organization called the Taiwan Steel Group. They have supported proxy attacks on 4 different publicly listed companies in recent years and have successfully taken control of all of them so far. Through a complicated private network of influential friends, media purchases and sophisticated lawyers, the Taiwan Steel Group has become an expert in controlling the story behind why they should lead the company, regardless of strong track records from the current management teams. They love to cite corporate governance issues, how the current management's wins are a result of Taiwan Steel Group's board participation, and use legal loopholes to justify their actions. But once they have control, and the cameras are off, they have proven to have very little regard for transparency and corporate governance. Unfortunately, as Warren Buffett says, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. And Taiwan Steel Group is very good at getting those 5 minutes to destroy the credibility of hardworking managers. And now Taiwan Steel Group is doing it again, making false accusations against the chairman of Solar and trying to take credit for the company securing new client contracts. Your vote is powerful and is needed to stop this pattern of shareholder value destruction of the publicly held companies they control. Shareholders lose. Customers lose. Employees lose. while the private beneficiaries concealed behind the non-public Taiwan Steel Group continue to win.